Hello, gorgeous. I hope you had the best weekend. I want to share something with you. If you feel tired in your company, tired in your career, if you always feel like you're kind of like chasing at money, efforting around money, overthinking, like all of these different things, you've learned a million things, but you don't know which way to go. And there's this sense of like confusion, sometimes desperation kicks in, fear kicks in, like all of these different types of like low grade frequencies around money and around your power. I guarantee you're attempting to run your business, your career, your relationship to money, to receiving, period, all from a masculine and logical space. And this sounds a bit contradictory to what you hear me talk about all the time, because I also love strategy and I'm like, business problems have business solutions, and this is true. However, business solutions don't do a lot for you if you do not already have a very magnetic and a very high frequency energy around money and receiving, rooted in your deep feminine power, right? And so you have to understand that we've been raised in a very masculine culture, right? Everything is do. However, obviously, if like the only trick was doing, well, everybody would be a millionaire. If the only trick was doing, every time you showed up in your company, you would get more result, right? If the only trick was doing, you'd be just feeling fucking amazing every time you do something, and you don't, right? If the only trick was doing, the harder you worked at your company, the more likely you'd be to get promoted. And how often do we see that not actually add up, right? A lot of people work very hard. Actually, some of the hardest working people on the planet are receiving the least. And when it comes to being a feminine core woman or an energetic woman, I feel that this is even more important for you, because you will know this. Because when you go towards things that are overly strategic, when you go towards over leveraging logic to get results, when you go towards do and kind of just like sucking it up because this must be required, even if you get some results, you end up getting exhausted. The money doesn't feel good. Like things don't feel like yum, right? And it's not because now we're throwing like all discipline out the window, all routine out the window, all structure out the window. Like, of course, we need a certain element of the masculine around us in order for us to thrive, so you can actually lean back in your feminine, but that's coming from like more of a 3D place. What I'm talking about is your frequency. So when you approach the masculine without being deeply in your feminine power of receiving, where you legitimately just like you feel turned on in your body, you expect to receive, it's just kind of a given. Very rooted in your ability to like leverage your feminine energy, leverage your body as the portal to manifestation. Like you have this sense of magic around you. And you feel that sense of magic, right? Where it's like, yeah, right? So when we have that, when we go do the things, it's like the doing the things almost feels like the cherry on top of the really fucking magnetic frequency that we already have, right? And you drop the overthinking and you drop the confusion, and you are just like a potent channel for receiving. And this is how, right, you see the person who does the thing and all of a sudden they have quantum results, right? Or it's like, how did she get promoted? Like I'm working twice as much as she does, but she's got like that magic thing, right? She always gets what she wants. That's coming from your frequency. That is coming from your frequency, and this is built. But the way that it is built is by you actually dissolving your attachment to our over masculine and kind of like matrix culture. It is exclusively grounded in logic and doing. And you have to remember that women have been controlled for centuries. Women inherently, we have a lot of magic in our system. We birth life into the world when we choose to do so, right? The reason that you've been made to feel wrong, that you've been made to feel ashamed, the way you've been made to think you must do it like a man. One, the world was built by men, the business and money world specifically. So naturally, it's naturally oriented towards them. Doesn't mean that's the only way. And two, it's very easy for women to be controlled if you're always made to be wrong, right? Look at even how the media manipulates how we're supposed to look every 5 minutes. Like women are an enormous topic, or like at the enormous center, even like of our economy, and how our economy works is like very much like manipulating the minds of all humans, right? But how big is the beauty industry? A lot of it is oriented around women, right? And keeping control over us. So another way of keeping control over you is to make you continuously show up in these ways that actually do not even match your hormonal makeup, and that force you to turn off your intuition, turn off the entire side of your being that is connected into magic. There's a reason the medicine women were medicine women, right? We know women have a very strong ability to connect in, to tune in to what we can't see, to intuitively navigate. Like, this is part of being female. And so many women have lost this, or it's like you kind of have access to it, but it feels confusing. Like, you don't feel clearly directed. Being feminine is not being confused. Being feminine is not being unclear. Being feminine does not mean you're spelled out all over the floor. Being in your empowered feminine, you're very clear, you're very directed, you're very confident, you're very embodied in your power. You know your ability to attract and receive, and you do, right? And then when you go do things, you get these magic fucking results. They're not magic. It's because you are so embodied in your feminine power. You are so tapped into your intuition, and it's not confusing. You are so well directed from yourself that of course you do. If you want greater results in your doing, right? If you want to see your career take off in new ways, where it's not going to be the harder you work, the more money you make. If you desire to not only have more money come into your company, but more money to come in with ease. If you desire all the other types of investments you make into your business to receive those quantum results so that they are magic on top, instead of you holding on in dear life to logic, et cetera, logic that you actually do need, but that will only serve you in a limited way if everything else around your feminine power is not in place, right? If you desire this, come join us inside Feminine Magic and Money. I am so excited. This is the last time, the final hurrah, that I'm running FMM as a full-blown mastermind, where you literally have 12 live calls between me and the guest experts that are your wealth activations, your quantum healings, your mentorship, trauma release sessions from quantum ones. We're not pouring over trauma for fucking 90 days straight, right? This is about quick release where you don't need to replay everything. Across this lifetime, your lineage, past lifetimes, we're doing this all live. You have access to the content library. I always say, like, this is such a deep being space, right? This is not a doing space. All you need to do is show up and receive. There's replays for everything. All the women who lead beside me are so deeply talented in what they do. I take them coming into my company and leading my clients like so seriously. And these are all women whose work I can 100% get behind and have done myself. Keywords, done myself, right? I am bringing you the best of the best. So right now, with the code FMM1500, you are able to join us for $1,500 off for a very limited time, and then also choose between a free course of your choice or a private call when you join us. And then if you'd like that $1,500 to come off all payments, like on an extended payment plan versus, because otherwise if you put in the code, it'll just take it off your first payment, let me know and I will get you the code. You are tired of doing like healing container after healing container, looking at what happened with dad for 6,000 years, like all this kind of stuff where you're like, hey, I've done this, right? I want to actually just be able to like move potently through things, get to the receiving part, always not be thinking I have a block or a limitation or like unpacking limiting beliefs. This is not any of this. This is the power of quantum healing, which is like, it works across all dimensions and all lifetimes quickly, right? And this is why I call these women medicine women, right? Because we have this gift where it doesn't make sense, but it does. And you look at what we've all created and you'll be like, well, tell me how on the 3D. Because it didn't all happen on the 3D. There were actions on the 3D, but the frequency always starts from within, right? Quantum manifestation, so you can learn how to powerfully co-create instead of like doing manifestation practices. You want your ability to co-create quickly to just be who you are, for it to be embodied, not something that you need to reach outside of yourself for a practice in order to create. And very importantly, you want to understand your manifestation blueprint so you understand your unique energy and how you were built to manifest. This is something I've seen across the thousands of women who've come through my world. Everybody's energy isn't the same. Everybody's patterning isn't the same. What really turns everybody on in their magnetism isn't the same. Otherwise, we would all be robots and carbon copies of each other, and we are clearly not, right? So one of the most powerful gifts that you can give yourself is actually learning and understanding your manifestation blueprint. So that way, as you go through your life, it won't be like, okay, the next thing I want is this. Now I feel like I'm back at square zero with creating it, because like every time you're like, okay, who do I need to hire for this? How do I need to figure this out? Because you don't understand yourself, right? You don't understand your patterns. You don't understand what is exactly going to come up for you. You don't understand how to get ahead of it. And you don't understand yet, right, how to turn on your frequency based on who you are so that you know how to get what you want without always starting at zero. Knowing yourself in this way is one of the most potent gifts that you can give yourself in a lifetime, because you will not need to reach outside of yourself, right? Of course, we're always gonna have help, we're always gonna have mentorship, but you know what I mean when you feel like that frequency of like, oh, like I'm not sure, like, am I moving in the right direction, what to do, versus like, oh, I know exactly what, and this feels like extra, right? We want to get to I know exactly what, and this feels like extra. So this is what we do inside Feminine Magic and Money. It's such a deeply important space in my world. The way that the women inside transform, create, receive, what happens in 90 days that people have been desiring for years, it's unmatched and it's unreal. So I'm going to drop the link here. Message me if you have any questions. We kick off live in July, instant access to content, and now is the time to join us and say 1,500 and you'll get access to a free call as well, or to a free course of your choice, lifetime access.